What good you think you already know what good? But make life make it easy. No, no. Yeah. Um, I heard nothing complete. I need to sleep. I'm also so the 50 cent. 50%. 50 motherfuckers. Um, mm, it is. Um, so what's shit going on? Okay. So let's get these. Get good. You going? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Here's two bits. These two motherfuckers. These two motherfuckers in their front. And they gonna pop my throwing you. It's not exclusive. It's
Nobody anticipated that this would be the point at which everything collapsed, not even King Harris, T.I., Tiny, the admirers, or even those closest to him. However, King's darkest secret, which he had been keeping for years and vowed would never be revealed, was revealed by the second 50 Cent. His entire world turned upside down when King's girlfriend, the one person he believed would stand up for him, defended him minutes after 50 Cent revealed that shocking information online. I didn't fight, didn't ask questions, and didn't wait for an explanation. Instead, I stood with him through every meltdown, controversy, and wild outburst. She abruptly, completely, and silently departed. According to sources, King was so taken aback that he paced his room at 3 in the morning and called her again until his hands began to shake. However, she never responded. She didn't even send him a text. She interrupted him so quickly it felt like surgery, as if she had been waiting for the truth to be revealed. And once more, the truth, the secret that 50 Cent revealed, was not trivial. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't some immature error from his earlier years. It was gloomy. It was risky. It was the kind of secret that deters people from interacting with you. For example, not in public, not in private, and not even out of sympathy. According to industry sources, 50 Cent did more than just reveal King. King's mask was destroyed by him. One thing became clear to King's girlfriend when she discovered the truth about him. Behind the attitude, the swagger, and the all mine pranks, the man she was dating was unknown to her. This is the bit, though, that rocked the internet. The secret itself wasn't the reason she left. It was the one who told her to go. And that ignited a fire that no one knows how to put out. The night 50 Cent revealed his darkest secret was not the beginning of everything that resulted in King Harris's girlfriend leaving. The Instagram post, the live broadcast, and
what did he post? What did he shot? What did he do? This is what I said. This is so much. It's so much shit going on. You don't even know. Half us don't even know. Half us do. Half us don't. The only thing we know is that he got a dark secret. If it fit you, you see what he revealed.
or the comment area didn't blow up right away. No, this collapse started long before the truth was revealed to the world. It started discreetly, behind closed doors, where King had been juggling lies, fears, and a parallel life he believed no one could ever relate to. In actuality, King's girlfriend had been feeling uneasy for months. She didn't make any noise about it. He wasn't accused by her. She sensed it even though she didn't snoop. The sudden demand for control, the distancing, the anger, and the late night phone calls he constantly left the room to answer. He said he was taking care of business throughout the sporadic disappearances, even the way King paced the room like he was concealing a storm inside his chest in response to little disagreements, snapping over nothing. Nevertheless, she persisted, believing he was under pressure, misinterpreted, or perhaps attempting to establish his masculinity. She thought he would grow out of it. She thought she could soothe him. She didn't know what he was concealing, but she thought he just needed someone to be patient. King was unaware that the one person he believed he was shielding with silence would ultimately suffer the most. For months, 50 Cent had been seeing King's decline. King continued to provoke the wrong people, not because he cared. 50 paid attention every time King brought him up, every time he uploaded a careless video, and every time he behaved like a street leader online. And King was advised to stop by folks in his 50s. He was also cautioned by people in Atlanta circles. However, the cautions were irrelevant. King believed that no one was aware of the real reason behind his actions. He believed that no one could reveal what he had concealed. He believed that everyone who knew his darkest secret had already made a vow to keep quiet. Because 50 Cent has a tendency to know things he shouldn't, he was mistaken. This time, he discovered something that King vowed would never be revealed to anybody outside of his small group. King's entire demeanor revolved around keeping a secret that was so weighty. 2 weeks before to the public revelation, King's girlfriend unintentionally overheard a phone call, which caused the first crack. She halted at the top of the stairs as King yelled downstairs, "You weren't supposed to say nothing. You promised me that. You don't know what you've done." That was not how King ever spoke. Never desperate, never afraid. He declined to describe what transpired that evening. He just said, "Don't worry about it. I got it under control." However, he failed to do so. Someone close to King, someone he blindly trusted, had made a mistake behind the scenes. The wrong individual had received a small piece of information from them. That individual gave it to someone else, and at some point in the process, it ended up in 50 Cent's hands, exactly where King dreaded. King was unaware that 50 had it. Not quite yet. However, his girlfriend felt that something wasn't quite right. She sensed him withdrawing, emotionally closing down, getting suspicious, checking his phone every 5 minutes, and locking doors he had never locked before. People close to King, meantime, whispered that he was acting strangely and concealing something significant. However, nobody anticipated that 50 would be the one to open it. It occurred abruptly, aggressively, and in public. 50 posted a mysterious message, a picture with a description that didn't include King's name. While King was fronting for fans on Instagram Live, everyone understood right away who it was directed at. 50 Cent posted again in a matter of minutes. This time, the entertainment industry was rocked by a line, a screenshot, a voice note clip, and King's name. King's deepest secret came to light at that very moment, the instant the mask broke, when years of deceit came to an end. When King's girlfriend's stomach fell, she spent about 30 minutes staring at her phone in shock, repeatedly watching the video and browsing through comments that were becoming more and more offensive. "Did you know about this? Is this true? Is this why he's been acting crazy?" Friends in her direct message began to ask. She felt sick because the person in that video, the truth in that exposure, the version of the King the world suddenly saw, was not the King she knew, the King she loved, or the King she defended. The secret wasn't causing her heart to break. Because he kept it from her, it was shattering. Oh, because he gave her the impression that she knew him, because he gave her the impression that he was truthful, because he allowed her to stand next to a fake version of himself. Her phone buzzed once again as she sat there sobbing, trying to make sense of everything and figure out why her partner had been lying for so long. It wasn't King this time. It wasn't a companion. It wasn't a troll. She never anticipated receiving the message. A woman who had dated a prominent man, like a woman who had witnessed the fallout from such secrets, a woman who had endured a similar experience. It was a brief, scathing, and devastating message. Now was the time to leave him before things worsen. She remained silent. She didn't have to, since she knew the truth the moment King attempted to call her, the moment his name appeared on the screen, and the moment she heard his voice pleading, sobbing, and begging. She wasn't departing because of King's actions, but rather because of the connection to his secret, the involvement of WHO and the hints made by 50 Cent. King was now surrounded by danger, and she might be the next to face it. She also mumbled something that no one else heard as she packed her belongings, wiped away her tears, and blocked King's number. "I have no desire to perish for the secret of another person." Since 50 Cent revealed his darkest secret, King Harris has been spiraling downward. But it wasn't until his girlfriend left that the actual breakdown started. The trigger was that. The fact that losing her didn't feel like heartbreak was the reason he lost it. It was like being judged. The world seemed to be confirming that people only trusted the version of him that 50 revealed. King continued to call and text her, pleading for a single chat, but each call ended up in voicemail and each message was delivered without ever flashing red. He wasn't yelling, he was imploring, he wasn't angry, he was desperate. He wasn't the rough kid that the internet made fun of. He was a scared youngster clinging to the one person who gave him a sense of humanity. However, King was unable to avoid the more profound reality. The secret kept her from leaving. When she found out who else knew it, she departed. Everyone related to King's secret was made public by the second 50 Cent. The background manipulators, the quiet partners, and the strong males all resumed their activities. King had more than a secret. Someone had been keeping a secret from him, and it was the unexpected turn of events. You see, something had occurred behind the scenes months before 50 revealed King. King was indirectly involved in anything sinister and unlawful. The mastermind wasn't him. The planner wasn't him. He was aware of the act. Even if he wasn't the one who performed it, he observed it. He saw something he shouldn't have, something related to a silent man. A man more deadly than anyone King's girlfriend could have ever dreamed of, even 50 and Ty. This man has previously defended King out of strategy rather than compassion. Before 50 Cent tore it apart, King had been encased in a shield of power, wealth, and intimidation, without even realizing who had constructed it. Because 50 didn't reveal the viewing secret, he didn't reveal it to gain influence. In retaliation, he revealed it. Retaliation against the man King unintentionally shielded. Everything went south at that point, because King wasn't the only one who freaked out when the truth was revealed. It's possible that the dangerous man who had cleaned up King's mess had an unexpected issue. King was overly knowledgeable. King was also erratic. King was also sentimental. Men with strong emotions also divulged secrets. The threats started at that point. King didn't share these messages to anyone. At first, they were mild, a message from a blocked number saying, "You've said enough." Later, another stated, "Don't let 50 push you into talking." However, his girlfriend noticed the terror in his eyes. He was no longer asleep. He gave up eating. He was no longer concerned about 50 Cent, so every time his phone buzzed, he jumped. The man with the secret worried him, the person who stood to lose everything if King spoke. 50 Cent was aware of this. Because of this, he went live the following night and said, "If the boy tells the full story, some grown men going to be sick." At that point, everything fell apart. The internet went crazy. King became terrified. Now that she realized King wasn't merely covering up a personal error, his partner packed her bags. He was in possession of a perilous fact that may ruin many lives. However, the main disagreement arose when King at last contacted the only person he believed could assist him. A family acquaintance with strong ties to Atlanta's underworld, someone who understands how power functions, someone who understands how secrets are concealed. Why is this happening? What do I do? King pleaded with him, and the man's response caused King to start crying. As long as you complied with the regulations, you were safe. You crossed the line. You're exposed now. King began to tremble. Which regulations? Nothing was broken by me. The man let out a sigh. It was forbidden for you to discuss any aspect of that evening. What you witnessed was not meant to be repeated. It was not appropriate for you to inquire. It was not appropriate for you to bring up that man in your tirades. Furthermore, you weren't intended to appear as though you were going to collapse under duress. King fell into a chair. It all made sense when the man crumbled under pressure that evening. Well, the secret itself wasn't the reason he was being targeted. People were targeting him because they thought he might speak. The first twist, the one that altered everything, then appeared. King's secret was not uncovered by 50 Cent. He received it from someone close to King. Someone with specific knowledge, someone who gained from undermining King's protection, someone who wanted King revealed. King had the utmost faith in that individual, someone who had been playing both roles and posing as the mentor while giving 50 Cent and the dangerous man King feared information. King stopped talking in the middle of his sentence when he heard that name. He let go of the phone. The person who had deceived him was also the one who had ordered his girlfriend to leave him, so he grasped his head as if he were going to scream. King realized that 50 Cent wasn't the enemy when the same individual whispered, You don't want to be tied to this boy when the truth comes out. Yes, the issue wasn't his secret. It wasn't his girlfriend's decision to leave him. Someone trying to break him before the true storm arrived was purposefully, cruelly, and methodically isolating him. Because exposure wasn't the true threat. The powerful man who was responsible for the secret's arrival in Atlanta posed the true threat. There was just one rule for that man: no unfinished business. For hours, King had been pacing his room in an attempt to understand how everything had fallen apart in a single night. He saw his sweetheart leaving the house each time he closed his eyes. It was fear, not rage, that made her face pale. He lied, but she didn't go. The truth was greater than him, therefore she fled. Larger than them. Larger than anything she has ever desired to participate in. That's what broke him. King knew in his heart that she wasn't fleeing from him. The man with the secret was the one she was fleeing. However, King never even mentioned the man's name in private. The man who silenced adult men with his presence. The man had merely shielded King because it was advantageous for King to remain silent. That dude was more than just strong. He wasn't only linked, he could not be touched. King was no longer protected as a result of 50 Cent. He was now vulnerable. Once more, King's phone buzzed. One more message from a blocked number. Keep quiet. His hand began to tremble. He promptly erased the message. P was afraid someone would see it. However, he was unable to erase the terror that was growing within of him. Deciding he had to leave the house before anyone else arrived, he reached for his jacket. However, he discovered someone waiting for him in the corridor when he opened the door. The same individual who deceived him. The man who spent years feigning assistance. The man who gave 50 Cent information. And the frightening person who oversaw the underworld in Atlanta. King froze. He muttered, "Why are you here?" Furthermore, the man did not offer an explanation, a smile, or a threat. Rather, he added, "You should have kept your mouth shut." King's terror mixed with rage. "I did keep my mouth shut. You're the one who told him. You're the one who ruined everything." The man got closer. "You were spiraling. You were emotional. You were one live away from exposing the wrong people. And if you had said one detail too much, it wouldn't be your girlfriend leaving you. It would be your family burying you." King's stomach twisted. "So you exposed me first?" The man nodded calmly. "To control the damage." That sentence hit King like a bullet. Control damage. He wasn't a person. He was a liability. King stepped back, feeling his whole world tilt. What did 50 Cent post? Why would you let him expose that of all things? The man didn't respond immediately. He looked at King with disappointment, maybe even pity. "You still don't understand what you saw." King swallowed hard. "I didn't see anything. I just..." "Yes, you did." The man snapped. "You saw something you were never supposed to witness. Something that tied a powerful man to an illegal operation. Something that could take down half the city if the wrong people found out." King's breath caught in his throat. That one night he always shoved the back of his mind. The night he told himself he dreamed on the night he saw something in a warehouse he wasn't meant to be near. He had tried to forget it, but 50 Cent didn't forget. He exposed it. King stumbled. "But I didn't snitch. I didn't say a word. I didn't tell. You didn't have to." The man interrupted. "You talk when you're angry. You live online. You think being Ty's son protects you from the real world." He shook his head. "But the moment 50 Cent hinted you were involved in something serious, and that's when they lost confidence in you." King felt his knees weaken. "Who's they?" The man inhaled deeply. "The same people 50 Cent wants to take down. The same people you've been accidentally protected by. The same people who saw you as a threat the moment you became unpredictable." King was trembling now. "This is because of one night, something I didn't even mean to see." The man cut him a sharp look. That night involved money, power, crimes. "I had a man who's been at the top of Atlanta's underground for 20 years. King's eyes widened. No, not him. I didn't even say his name." "You didn't have to," the man said flatly. 50 Cent said it for you. And that's when it clicked. 50 didn't expose King out of beef. He exposed him to expose the man behind him. The man King accidentally witnessed doing something illegal. The man who was using King's silence as protection. The man who now felt betrayed. Now King whispered, "He thinks I talked." The man nodded. And once a man like him believes that, you're done. King collapsed onto the couch, breath shallow, panic rising. So what happens now? How should I proceed? I'm seen as dangerous by my girlfriend. The internet believes I'm a criminal. My folks are completely unaware of the situation. This guy now wants me to leave. The man remained unflinching. It has nothing to do with risk. This has to do with leverage. You will falter if they emotionally break you. You'll converse. And the man's greatest dread is that. King raised his head, tears welling up. I have no desire to speak. I'm not interested in getting involved. I took no action. King's shoulders were seized by the man. However, you are now liable since you witnessed something. Whispering, King broke down. He's coming for me then. The man gave a head shake. He's here already. King froze. What? The man then made the startling revelation. The one that made all the difference. Not to kill you, he sent someone. I'm going to test you. King's heart fell. What am I being tested for? To check if he will shatter. King's breath caught. What happens if I do break? The man had no verbal response. He simply gave King a look that suggested the reality was more worse than anything 50 Cent could reveal. The exposure of King Harris caused the world to explode, not simply respond. At one point, parodies of King ranting on Instagram Live were making people chuckle. The next moment, they were gawking at 50 Cent's post as they read the words that suggested King was involved in something much more sinister, profound, and perilous than teenage drama. King wasn't trending in a matter of minutes. The only thing in style was him. People poured into X. No, this isn't your typical beef. King became entangled with actual criminals. The boy's entire plot was just concluded in 50. That man has had enough. Put a fork inside of him. The footage, ancient warehouse videos, hazy images, and purported audio recordings followed. No one could tell which ones were authentic, which ones had been altered, and which ones had been fabricated to cast King in a negative light. But correctness didn't matter to anyone. Chaos was important to everyone. On TikTok, creators began posting comprehensive analyses. This is what King actually seen that evening. His lover fled for this reason. You people don't get it. Someone in a position of authority was watching over him. Some suggested King was involved in money laundering, while others stated he saw a cocaine deal. It was a political blackmail deal, according to the Conspiracy Channel. However, this was the only notion that gained traction. King noticed a connection to an unidentified stranger who wants him to keep quiet. Comments flew in. He's in a panic because of this. His girlfriend dipped because of this. 50 exposed him to smoke out the true villain because of this. He's battling demons that he didn't even call forth. The monarch had transformed from a chatty adolescent to a sad figure in a crime thriller in a matter of hours. However, it continued on the internet. The industry also began to respond. Rappers started sharing mysterious messages online. You engage in street play. In the streets, you drown. These days, children are unaware of what they witness. Certain secrets steal your soul. It's not a game behind the scenes. In interviews, managers, DJs, and producers whispered without mentioning King's name, but the message was clear to all. He wasn't supposed to be there. That's not what he should have seen. He had no business talking online. The entire internet stopped when one OG in Atlanta said something. It's okay for the boy to be afraid. If that man felt deceived, I would also be afraid. He was inundated by people. That man, who is he? Recite the name, give up being mysterious. He remained silent. He was not required to. Additionally, all of them were overshadowed by a different response that came from an unexpected source. The internet erupted when King's girlfriend shared a single sentence on her story. I won't put my life in danger to protect the secrets of others. The comments erupted so quickly that she had to remove the story, but the screenshots had already gone viral. Everyone exclaimed, "What? What secrets? What did King do? Who is threatening you?" Fans then noticed that she had unfollowed both King T.I. Tiny and the family friend who had betrayed King. People began assembling the pieces, creating timelines, and examining her likes, previous posts, and tagged images. Everyone on the internet was playing detective. Then King's situation worsened when someone connected to the man who kept King's secret made another public statement. The internet was completely turned upside down by a woman's comment. Everyone involved knows exactly why the boy is scared. Now, this ain't for Instagram. All of a sudden, King was no longer being made fun of. They were afraid for him. Videos became popular. You know that King is really in danger, don't you? He wasn't exposed for clout by 50. He revealed him as a bait. Mentally, he is being pushed to the limit. Celebrities who had previously remained silent began to voice their opinions in private. He must be protected. Please have someone look into that boy. Why doesn't Tyng speak up? And that turned into the most contentious issue. Where are you now that people have turned against Tia? Why do you not stand up for your son? Speak up. His comments were inundated by admirers. Tiny's comments were flooded the pages of the Harris family. However, the family remained silent, which only made the situation worse. There was an immediate meltdown when a news site stated, "Sources say Harris family security has been doubled," as if the strain wasn't enough. Who is pursuing him? This goes beyond music feuds. They're getting ready for something. Is King secure? A rumor went viral in a matter of hours. King's neighborhood was being circled by a black SUV. Filmed from behind a tree, the footage was choppy and of poor quality. However, that was irrelevant. Fans immediately came to believe it. All of a sudden, everyone believed King was being pursued, hounded, and observed. People started tagging 50 Cent, the FBI, the Atlanta Police Department, and T.I. The Globe seemed to be pleading with someone to intervene before it was too late. However, the underground had the worst response. On private forums, rumors circulate. He is being put to the test. They're hoping he'll fold. They believe he may speak. No unfinished business. A message then surfaced on a dark web thread around 3:12 a.m. One thing, as soon as someone took a screenshot of it, went viral. He has 48 hours. Fans were alarmed by what that implied. He was given 48 hours by whom? Is he expected to depart from the city? Is he currently in danger? No one knew the answers. One individual did, but not the general public, the media, or random pundits. King's betrayer. He wrote just one line. He won't repeat the same error if he makes it through this. That message, without identifying names, sent shivers down everyone's spine on the internet. Everything was confirmed by him. King had witnessed the involvement of the underground. A strong man did feel intimidated. King's time was also running out. King went through millions of comments, conspiracy videos, threats, warnings, and urgent messages urging him to flee Atlanta before it was too late, while sitting by himself in the dark with the illumination of his phone screen illuminating his face. With each fresh notification, his chest constricted. His name was trending around the world every second. A new piece of evidence emerged every minute, each hour. Additionally, there was a clue from someone else that the individual who was keeping his secret was approaching. However, nothing, not his girlfriend's departure, the treachery, the internet, or 50 Cent posts prepared him for what came next. Because the man in question was already closer than King had ever dreamed, the man whose identity no one dared to reveal, the man whose shadow alone ruled entire neighborhoods. A voicemail was the first indication. King was unfamiliar with the number. There was no voice on the other end, you know. Just breathing. No commands, no threat. Calm, measured, and slow. As if they wanted King to know they weren't in hiding. As if they wanted him to sense their presence. King's whole body went frigid. "This ain't happening. This ain't happening," he said to himself as he locked his phone, threw it across the room, and slammed both hands to his temples. However, the next indication showed that it was. My headlights flickered twice outside King's residence before going out. It was a quiet, methodical recognition that someone was observing, neither quickly nor violently. The street was deserted when King hurried to the window. There was a car, no sound, no movement, just a choking silence. A horrifying realization struck him, and he retreated from the curtains. This was no longer a warning. It was surveillance. Online users weren't making things up. His girlfriend didn't have paranoia. 50 Cent wasn't playing tricks. As if the mysterious man had begun his exam. With trembling hands, King reached for his phone once more and attempted to contact the one family friend he still had faith in. The same person who had previously cautioned him, but the call failed for the first time in history. Not to ring, not to leave a voicemail. It was just a message he had never seen before. "The number you are attempting to call has been blocked." Dread punched King in the chest while he gazed at the television. Limited, as in cut off, blocked, or shut down. Not by the phone provider, but by someone with the authority to quickly delete messages. He heard it at that moment, a deliberate, quiet knock on his front door. Not boisterous, agitated, or hostile. Only 3 taps. Press, press, pressed. King froze. Every muscle in his body tightened. He stopped breathing. It knocked once more. Tap, tap, tap. He remained still. He was not breathing. The knock wasn't random, so he didn't blink. No one knocked in that manner. No one could knock in such manner. 3 taps I spaced equally. Ideal rhythm. It was a calling card, a signature, a message from the man whose name no one mentioned. The man King had unintentionally crossed. A voice spoke from the other side of the door as King slowly retreated and muttered, "No, no way. He wouldn't come here himself." Silky, low, serene, terrifyingly composed. King felt his legs almost give out. "Open the door, King. We need to talk." His throat closed as the room whirled. It posed no danger. It wasn't a request. It wasn't rage. It was the sound of a man who never had to raise his voice. Power didn't scream. Power did not scream. Power muttered. King stayed motionless, tears welling up in his eyes, because he knew deep down, this dude didn't come personally to intimidate. It wasn't an exam, it wasn't even a penalty. It was the last phase. King retreated till his shoulders collided with the wall. The voice of the door persisted. "You've caused me a bit of a problem. Let's fix it together." King muttered to himself, "I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead." However, the true twist occurred when the person responsible for the entire issue took a terrifying turn. The man at the door said, "I'm not here because of what you saw. I'm here because of who you talked to." King's breath caught. Talked to the betrayal. The mentor who exposed him. The girlfriend who was told to leave. Who? But the man continued. "You said one sentence to one person, and that person told the wrong ear. That is why I'm here." King's mind spiraled. "What sentence? You mind? Who did I talk to? What did I say?" Then the man said the words that shattered everything. "You told a secret to someone who was already working for me." King's eyes widened in horror. "No, no way. That couldn't be true." But the man wasn't finished. "And that person," he said calmly, "has fed me every detail, every fear, every message, every apology, every panic attack, every attempt you made to fix this." King's heart dropped to his feet. His betrayer wasn't the mentor, wasn't the friend, wasn't even 50 Cent. It was someone King trusted deeper than all of them, someone who knew his routine, his weaknesses, his insecurities, his fears, someone who was always with him, someone who comforted him, someone he believed in. King's voice cracked. "Who?" There was a long, gut-wrenching silence before the man delivered the final blow. "You already know who it is. Think about who left you first." King's blood ran cold. His girlfriend, the one person he thought was innocent, the one person he thought was scared, the one person he thought was protecting herself. She wasn't running from danger, she was working for it. Before King could process it, the man said, "She knows I'm here. She told me you'd open the door." King staggered back, and his girlfriend wasn't a victim. She wasn't scared. She wasn't scared. She wasn't manipulated. She was the insider, the leak, the mole, the one who led this man straight to King. King whispered, voice breaking, "She set me up." The man at the door smiled through the wood. "Open the door, King." The screen cuts to black here because what happens next changes everything. And now that you've followed King Harris through every unraveling thread, the exposure, the betrayal, I'm the danger creeping closer with every hour, the powerful man standing at his door, and the gutsing truth that the one he loved was the one who led him into the lion's den. You're standing exactly where King is, on the edge of something huge, something dark, something that isn't finished, something that feels like it's about to explode in the next chapter. But before we continue this story, before we uncover what happens when that door finally opens, before we peel back the next twisted layer of secrets, I want you, the viewer, the witness, the person watching this entire disaster unfold, to tell me one thing. Do you think King survives this? Because this isn't just drama anymore. This isn't petty beef. This isn't clout chasing or internet foolishness. This is betrayal engineered from the inside. This is manipulation orchestrated by people far more powerful than King ever understood. This is a young man realizing too late that he was a pawn in a game played in the shadows, and the players aren't done with him yet. So, tell me in the comments, who do you think the mysterious man at the door really is? Why do you think King's girlfriend chose to betray him? Do you believe 50 Cent exposed King to destroy him or to save him? And what do you think King will do when he realizes the only person he trusted was the one handing him over? Your theories matter. Your voice matters because the story isn't ending, it's expanding. And the more you dig, the more dangerous it becomes. Before you go, make sure you hit that like button if this episode had your heart pounding or your jaw on the floor. Every like pushes this story deeper into the algorithm and deeper into the truth we're trying to uncover. And if you haven't already, subscribe, turn on notifications. Because when the next leak drops, when we finally find out what the man behind the door wants, what King does next, and whether the girlfriend comes back into the picture or disappears forever, you do not want to miss a second of it. This is not the finale. This is the cliff before the fall. Stay locked in. Stay watching. The next chapter is coming, and it will shake everything.